Now it's time for the Rob Johnson Sports Show, presented by the Legacy Maker Sports Network. Okay, it can't see. And for some reason, all right, everybody, for some reason, and I cannot figure out why, but my screen is black. I don't know if anybody can hear me or not. I'm not picking up a signal. It's black. I don't know if anybody can hear me or not. Anyway, I don't know if anybody can hear me or not. I'm sorry, but for some reason, my screen is black. Y'all not able to see me. I apologize about that. But what I'm gonna do is we're gonna talk about the Super Bowl. Talk about Super Bowl that's coming up tomorrow between the San Francisco 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs. When I look at this Super Bowl, I look at a few factors. The 49ers coming in were the best team in the NFL the entire season. Up until they had some points where they weren't good. They had the loss to Cleveland, they had the loss to Minnesota, they had the loss to the Cincinnati Bengals. But either way, the San Francisco 49ers dominated most of the season. They dominated and did what they were supposed to do. Um, the 49ers, in my opinion, are a great football team. The problem is that when you look at Kansas City, the Kansas City Chiefs are a football team that plays excellent defense. They have the best two corners, in my opinion, in the National Football League, especially Mr. Ladarius Sneed. Um, then you have the other young corner out of the University of Washington. Kansas City has everything that you need to win football games. Kansas City has everything that you need in Patrick Mahomes. I think that one of the big mistakes that we've made all week, and here goes the graphic for you. I think the mistake that we made all week is that we've talked about Brock Purdy and Patrick Mahomes. We really haven't talked about players like Isaiah Pacheco. We haven't talked about players like Rashee Rice. I think that Rashee Rice and Isaiah Pacheco are going to be the difference in this game on Sunday. I think that Pacheco is potentially going to be your MVP of the Super Bowl. I think Pacheco is explosive. You look at the 49ers, they've had trouble stopping the run. If you look at last week against the Detroit Lions in the first half, they had a horrible time stopping the run of the Detroit Lions. The Lions did not run the ball that much in the second half. The other problem when you look at San Francisco is that you look at the Baltimore game, right? And I compare the Baltimore game with the Kansas City game. Kansas City played Baltimore, the 49ers played Baltimore. Brock Purdy, I'm not going to call him a game manager. I'm not going to disrespect him. I'm not going to say that he can't play the game of football. What I will say is that at times, Brock Purdy will throw 50-50 balls. And the Kansas City Chiefs will take advantage of that. The Kansas City Chiefs' defense is no joke. Steve Spagnuolo is one hell of a defensive coordinator. And he gave Brock Purdy some praise this week. And the first thing I thought in my mind was he is going to try to trick him coming into this football game. The 49ers' best chance to win this game is to make sure that Christian McCaffrey touches the ball at least 30 times. Christian McCaffrey has to be the key. You cannot come into this game thinking that you're going to throw the ball all over the field to Brandon Ayuk, to Deebo Samuel, to your other weapons. Now, if the 49ers come out and they can throw the ball and they can dominate, God bless them, good job. But this game is gonna come down to the running back. I said this going back to the beginning of the season, folks. The running back position is so critical in the National Football League, it's not even funny. When you talk about a team like Kansas City, now Pacheco only had about 935 yards the entire year, but those were big yards. He is, he was coming off an injury a few weeks back. He came in the playoffs. He had 130 yards against Miami. And I want you all to think about this, right? The Kansas City Chiefs beat the Miami Dolphins in the high octane offense, even though it was cold outside. We get all that. But you got to remember, it wasn't as cold last year in Buffalo, but the Miami Dolphins still put up 30 points on the Buffalo Bills last year in the wild card round, right? Then you have Kansas City go to Buffalo. And for me, folks, Buffalo was playing such good football. They were so hot when it came to what they were doing with Josh Allen, with the running game, with their receivers. The Kansas City Chiefs pretty much shut these guys down. I'm not going to say shut down Buffalo. Buffalo kind of shut themselves down a little bit. But the Kansas City Chiefs in their pass rush with Chris Jones, Karlaftis, these guys, their linebackers, they did a great job in making sure that Buffalo was contained. Now you go to the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens were the hottest team in the National Football League. Excuse me. Were the hottest team in the National Football League. Kansas City goes into Baltimore. Not only do they shut down Lamar Jackson, the Baltimore Ravens inexplicably don't run the football, trying to be too cute. And that's what I fear with the San Francisco 49ers. Trying to be too cute, trying to do too many things that they don't need to be doing. They need to do things that's going to win them the football game. And I think that's the key for both teams tomorrow, is doing what you have to do to win the football game. If you're the Kansas City Chiefs, if you look at Patrick Mahomes, he didn't have the greatest season. 27 touchdowns, 48 interceptions. That's something that Patrick Mahomes usually has. He has better numbers, not 27 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. But you also have to look at the fact that his weapons weren't all the way there. I'm going to give you a name that a lot of you know, and Mecole Hardman. Mecole Hardman, I don't know if he'll have a big role tomorrow, but what I do know is that on January 7th, he had, 11, 12 targets for like 7 to 8 catches. Valdez-Scantling, he's starting to catch the football. You have, like I said, Rashee Rice. He'll be able to catch the football because, he as a rookie had nearly 1,000 yards receiving. Travis Kelce had 93 receptions on 121 targets the entire season, and he missed the first game, so he would have probably had over 100 catches. I'll say this as well. Excuse me, folks. Like I said, it's been a long day. Kansas City has weapons all over the field. And we can actually go look at the numbers as well. The 49ers offense ranks top 5, top 10 in everything. But the Kansas City defense ranks in the top 10 as well in a lot of good categories. I'll say this. If you're the 49ers, the pressure's on you because just like their counterparts and their rival, which the team I won't mention, the 49ers haven't won a championship since the 94-95 season. The difference between them and that team is that the 49ers have been to NFC championship games. They've been to Super Bowls. So I can kind of give the 49ers a break. Yes, they haven't won a Super Bowl since Steve Young put up 6 touchdowns against the San Diego Chargers. But at least they've been. At least they've been to the big NFC championship games. The 49ers are a really good football team, but their road and their window is coming to an end. This game is going to determine a lot, folks. This game is going to determine the future of Brock Purdy. Is he going to be your future quarterback? Is he not going to be your future quarterback? And I know people will find that crazy to say on my mouth, but what happens if he comes and lays an egg? You have to think about the future because he was Mr. Relevant for a reason. When I evaluate Brock Purdy coming out of Iowa State, he was a good quarterback, but I thought Tom Brady was better coming out of Michigan. I think that, well, I'm not going to say I think. I know that Brock Purdy is a lot better athlete than Tom Brady. That's what he has going for him. He also has it going that he has a better team around him than Tom Brady did. Don't get it misconstrued. Tom Brady had an excellent defense. Bill Belichick had excellent defense around him for years in New England. Um, Tom Brady's real weapon came when you had Randy Moss come in 2007, 2008. Now, when you look at San Francisco, when you look at Christian McCaffrey, when you look at Brandon Ayuk, when you look at Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, they have weapons all over the field. It would be no excuse for the 49ers to play a bad game tomorrow. But this is what I will say. And I go back to my point about the playoffs, right? The 49ers struggled against the Green Bay Packers. And folks, I am a huge Jordan Love fan. I'm a huge Packers fan. I think they got a bright future. But the 49ers should not have struggled with Green Bay. I think Green Bay could have stayed in the game early. Maybe San Francisco win by 10, 12 points, pull out late. They didn't do that. They actually did not play to the standard I thought they would. I believe it was, what, 24-21. Then you look at last week against Detroit, 2 weeks ago, I'm sorry, against Detroit. 24-7 at halftime. If you give Patrick Mahomes a 27-7 lead, you're not getting back into the football game. As I said on Facebook, this is a dangerous Kansas City defense. This defense has the capability of making this game really ugly, really fast. I think that this defense is fed up. I think that this defense is sick and tired of hearing about Brock Purdy. I think this defense is tired of being disrespected. And I think this Kansas City Chiefs defense has been disrespected because all we talk about is the quarterbacks. All we talk about is the skill positions. We don't talk about the Kansas City Chiefs and what they bring to the table. We don't talk about the fact that this defense is top five, that you got a guy from Stanford and Justin Reed who is so intellectually smart that he can manipulate the quarterback into doing whatever he wants him to do. We don't talk about Trent McDuffie that much. We don't talk about Ladarius Sneed. We don't talk about Tranford. We don't talk about Willie Gay. We don't talk about Nick Bolton. We don't talk about these guys enough. And I think after Super Bowl, was it 58, that you're going to be talking about these players. Kansas City's defense literally went to Baltimore and made them quit almost. You tell me what other team has made Baltimore look bad this year. Because I remember Baltimore going to San Francisco and putting it on San Francisco. They went into San Francisco and put it on San Francisco. I think that should be a wake-up call to a lot of you. Because, again, Baltimore went to their house and dominated them. Kansas City went to Baltimore's house and took them out. Kansas City beat the Miami Dolphins in Tyreek Hill's return game. They went to Buffalo, a hot Buffalo team. Josh Allen was on fire. That team was on fire. They scorched them. They got the water hose and they put them out. They were no longer on fire. I really think that this week, I've had kind of this feeling this week, right? I think it's the same feeling I had back in, I believe it was 2000. I don't remember the year. I think it was like 2014, 2015 when when the Seahawks played the Broncos. I had a bad feeling about tomorrow. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope this is a great game. I don't really care who wins. I just want the fans to win. I want people to enjoy their day. But Kansas City is a problem. If you didn't get enough assurance from what you saw in the playoffs, I think you're going to get it tomorrow. This defense is so good that they're going to make Patrick Mahomes' job even easier tomorrow. Isaiah Pacheco is going to make life easy for Patrick Mahomes tomorrow. Again, Isaiah Pacheco is going to be my choice for MVP. I think he rushes the ball 20, 25 times for over 100 yards and a few touchdowns. I think that this defense is going to wake up tomorrow and they are going to put it on San Francisco. I think that Brock Purdy will come on late, maybe throw a garbage touchdown. Maybe the defense will get hyped up. I don't know. But the San Francisco defense in the first half really worried me last week. And Dan Campbell, let's be honest, folks, he kind of got San Francisco off the hook. He got Kyle Shanahan off the hook. He got Brock Purdy and crew off the hook because they were in trouble last week. They were in major trouble last week. And the Lions let them off the hook. If the Lions had just played better football and had not got so overzealous and got so full of themselves, we'd be talking about Kansas City and Detroit this week. Kansas City lost to Detroit the first game of the season. Since then, they've grown as a team, grown as an offense, grown as a defense. I believe the players will catch the ball tomorrow. I believe that, again, Rasheed Rice, who's the rookie out of SMU, is going to have a big game. And it is ironic that you have a Rice beating the team that their Hall of Famer, Jerry Rice, played for. And I'm not saying Rasheed Rice is going to be a Hall of Famer. All I'm saying is that he's going to be very good in this league. He's got Patrick Mahomes. If you all could go back to 2 weeks ago against Baltimore, there was a play where Rasheed Rice caught the ball on the screen, and it felt like he accelerated to 20, 22, 23 miles an hour and got to the end zone. The play was, of course, called back. But that San Francisco secondary is very vulnerable, all right? And I believe Kansas City will keep their quarterback upright. And Patrick Mahomes will be able to dissect that secondary. I mean, he went to Baltimore last week. He went to Baltimore 2 weeks ago, folks, and did what he did. So if he did that to that Baltimore defense, who pretty much dominated San Francisco, what do you think is going to happen tomorrow? I think sometimes we overthink these things and we, don't look at the facts of it. Kansas City is a better football team. And I think that San Francisco having the edge, I think that the Chiefs being the underdogs, excuse me, the Chiefs being the underdogs is the worst thing that could happen to San Francisco. I sensed this week that the Niners were nervous. I'd be nervous too because a Kansas City Chiefs team is going to come in very, very hot tomorrow. They're going to come in with a point to prove. They want to get Patrick his third ring. They want to get Andy his third ring as a head coach. This is a very hungry Kansas City Chiefs team, and this is the worst you're going to see them. I said coming into the season on one of my draft shows with the guys at Legacy Maker Sports Network that the Chiefs would take a step back. And guess what, folks? The Chiefs did take a step back this year, but guess what? They're still in the Super Bowl. Imagine that. Imagine the Chiefs taking a step back this year, winning the division still, losing to the Raiders at home, losing to the Broncos, and they're still in the Super Bowl. Basically, what I'm saying is that the Kansas City Chiefs are not going to get worse. They're going to get better. And somehow, some way, they're in this game, and they're better. They're not worse. They're better, and they're going to continue to get better. The Chiefs may be in this game for the next 4 or 5 years because they're going to replace Travis Kelce eventually. They're going to replace parts because that's what Andy Reid does. He's a genius. They got rid of him in Philadelphia. Yes, they won a Super Bowl, but now he has 2, potentially 3. He went to consecutive, 4 or 5 NFC championship games in a row. Donovan McNabb with his Hall of Fame resume, we'll get to another day. The 49ers are in trouble. They're in a lot of trouble. And I wouldn't say this, folks, and people will say, oh, because you don't like the 49ers. I have nothing against the San Francisco 49ers. I love their color scheme. I love the tradition. I'm just looking at the facts about what happened in the playoffs. I'm just looking at the fact that San Francisco invited Baltimore to their house, and the Ravens absolutely destroyed them. The Baltimore Ravens invite Kansas City to their house in the playoffs in the AFC Championship game where everything is set up for the Ravens to win. And what happens? Baltimore loses. Kansas City is dangerous. Patrick Mahomes is back to his form. Isaiah Pacheco is that dude out of Rutgers. He will be, in my opinion, the MVP. And if he's not the MVP, then of course you would think Patrick Mahomes, or I would think Ladarius Sneed, maybe a couple picks, pick six, etc. The Chiefs have a lot of weapons. The 49ers got lucky against the Detroit Lions because the Detroit Lions got so full of themselves that they thought that they could just cruise in the second half. And one thing you cannot do against the 49ers, you cannot cruise. You got to play them all 60 minutes. And if there's one team that can play the 49ers all 60 minutes, is the Kansas City Chiefs. They are professionals just like the 49ers. Just because they call you a professional doesn't mean you're a professional. The Lions did not play professional football 2 weeks ago. They played gambling football. Not saying anybody was gambling, but you think about the culture. You think about players who were suspended because of gambling. That just doesn't happen. That culture just doesn't go away. That gambling mindset comes from somewhere. Dan Campbell is a gambling man. He gambles all the time in these games, and it ended up costing his team the Super Bowl. You know who was not a gambling man? Andy Reid, because he's strategic. He understands every integral part of the football game. Patrick Mahomes is not a gambler. He understands the strategy. He understands the strategics that go into a football game. So the San Francisco 49ers are going to walk in tomorrow into Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, Nevada, and they're going to walk out losers. Not losers in the sense of they're losers in life. No, because making the Super Bowl is hard. But what we are witnessing right now is one of the true great dynasties in NFL history. This team wasn't even supposed to get back to the big game, but they did. They got back to the big game because of the simple fact that they have professionals at all places of their team. The Kansas City Chiefs are a team. They're not individuals. Brock Purdy has everything that you need to win a championship. Patrick Mahomes lost Tyreek Hill. Patrick Mahomes has had guys dropping balls, not doing what they were supposed to do the entire year. And what happened when the playoffs got here? Kansas City got hot. If Kansas City was still struggling, they wouldn't be here. Brock Purdy, only time will tell his future with the San Francisco 49ers. But tomorrow, I will give you my score. I will pick the Kansas City Chiefs to beat the San Francisco 49ers by a score of 31-14, and Isaiah Pacheco is my MVP. Ladies and gentlemen, that's been the Rob Johnson Sports Show, episode 38. You all have a good night.